This is a review of the Albion Sword Mercenary. Whoo!
Hello, I'm going to test this Albion Mercenary sword. A couple things that I want to note before I really get too far into the testing. One, this is a second-hand sword. I got it on eBay, second-hand. When one came up, I snatched it. I feel great and lucky that I got it, but it was second-hand, so it may not be 100% representative of what you would buy from Albion today. Secondly, I'm not a good martial artist in the types of martial arts that I study, and none of them have anything to do really with historic European martial arts, so I really don't know the best way to use this sword. I'm probably going to use it very axe-like, so keep that in mind when you hear my thoughts and all of that type of malarkey.
What I noticed first about this Albion sword is that it's really fucking cool looking. All the transitions from the crossguard, the handle, the blade are all really well done. The lines and overall the symmetry and all the things that you take for granted are all expertly done. I mean, frankly, I look at a lot of really inexpensive swords or even highline swords, and the lines don't come together well, or there's spaces between the crossguard, or there's, something's loose or isn't exactly the way it's supposed to, or jiggles or wiggles, or the peen section doesn't look right, or along the planes of the blade it's not flat. And this one's just fucking nice. It makes me, I don't know, horny a little bit, maybe happy. I'm not familiar with pleasant emotions, but it's good. The feeling is good. Let me elaborate on what Albion says about this particular blade. The Mercenary, limited edition medieval sword, Oakshot Type 15A. We name this sword in honor of the professional soldiers of the 15th century, men without a country who sold their swords to the highest bidder in the numerous wars between countries and city-states of the period. This is a plain, no-nonsense version of our Type 15A, well suited for use by such a pragmatic soldier of fortune. This is a short and handy hand-and-a-half sword with a very stiff blade, primarily for thrusting, but pretty decent for cutting as well. When you handle these swords, they are very ready in your hand. One of the quickest types there is, as it follows your intentions at quicksilver-like speed. Because of the very narrow point, the spine can be made quite thick without the blade becoming cumbersome. This makes for superior stiffness and a very effective thrust. At least that's what she said. Fuck yeah. I don't know if that's bullshit or not, but it sounds cool. What the website says and what I have are slightly different. The one I have is a little longer, a little heavier, but frankly speaking, it's all within the realm of acceptable. This blade was secondhand. It came a little rusted, but still the planes were very clean, the lines were very nice, and overall there wasn't really anything fucked up about it. This blade supposedly was made between 2006 and 2010, though I can't determine the exact time. The shape is, fucking nice. I think it looks really cool, frankly, and I'm really impressed with how the lines come together. Overall, the crossguard is really tightly fit. The blade doesn't wiggle. When you smack it around, it sings to you like a church bell. I mean, there's a lot of really a lot of stuff to like about this sword, frankly. The peen section comes out nice, and overall it seems to be designed very well. I wish that I had some sort of jovial thing to say to you, like boobs and dicks and stuff, but I don't. It's just a really fucking nice sword, and frankly, I'm happy that I own it. It's cool looking, it stabs, and it's neat, and it's made from a company called Albion in a state that likes cheese a lot. I don't know, it's just really nice. The thing is that Albion isn't always nice. There's a lot of hype, and frankly, this was my first sword from Albion. It's a Circe. This was the first blade that I owned. It came with a scabbard that came from Albion, and frankly, there was a lot of hype from people like Skullgrim, and people on SVG forums, and a lot of people spoke very highly of these blades, and I thought, it's not very nice. The planes aren't good, it wiggles around a little bit, there's, stuff in the peen section, it's not great, but this one kind of changes my mind. I think there might be some quality control differences between the two. This particular mercenary sword is great. Now you can see here in this testing that I'm doing, I'm going to try and cut some paper. Frankly, it doesn't go exceedingly well. Now, bear in mind, again, this is a second-hand blade. I don't know if this sharpness test is representative of what you would expect to get from Albion directly. What I can say, though, is that it didn't drop cut paper, and it didn't really effectively cut paper. In fact, frankly, I'm not very good at cutting paper in general. You might have noticed that from some of my other videos, but despite my efforts, I pretty much came up empty-cocked, empty-handed, empty. I look really stupid trying to do this. I wonder if my neighbors are looking at me now like, this guy's an idiot. He's trying to cut out paper. What a dumbass. Initially, I found this very concerning. It wasn't very sharp, and I thought, well, when I start to cut targets, it's probably not going to work very well. It's not super sharp, and sharpness is a good thing, right? But it's not cutting things very well, so chances are it's not good. Now, I didn't feel any snags or anything on the edge that indicated that it was broken or bent or disfigured in some way. When I cut through bottles, the softer targets, like this yogurt bottle that I have, it's actually kefir, which is like fermented yogurt. Alcoholic yogurt is great. This is a drunken review, so you'd expect even my yogurt to be alcoholic. The point is that these softer plastic targets actually cut pretty well. And I didn't notice a lot of problems with them. It's a soft plastic target, though. You can't really expect much. On the harder plastic targets, though, it kind of tore through them a little bit. And that's not surprising because it wasn't super sharp. I found that it hit it like a baseball bat. And if I didn't swing with a lot of force, chances are it wasn't going to cut through the target. But after a bit of use, I started to get the feeling of the sword. Now, granted, plastic bottles aren't exactly a historic target, bear in mind. But tatami mats with a wooden core are a little bit more representative. And the first time I cut a tatami mat, it sliced right through the sumbitch. Now, this is a hard wooden oak core, and it's been soaked for a while, but it's still kind of dry. And it cut through it really well. And when I cut through it, the blade sang like a church bell. And it was really just a fucking awesome experience. It was like twang, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's really okay. Yeah, I like the song you're singing, brother. Okay. Now, my experience with historic European martial arts, or frankly cutting with swords, is not great. I thought that the blade cut pretty well. This was a small tatami mat and a reasonably small piece of oak. It's a hard piece of oak, but it's pretty small, and I didn't have a lot of luck cutting at any other angles. Thrusting was actually really easy, and I'm surprised at the penetration that it got. Now, this is a straw mat, I shouldn't really be surprised, but it was really easy to move and point, and I found the blade very agile. In these photos, you can see that some of the water bottles, frankly, just look like they got hit by a crowbar, and that's kind of the feeling I had when I hit them. The blade really didn't start singing to me until I started hitting harder targets, and that's when it livened up quite a bit. Also, there was really no edge damage at all. I hit a hard wooden oak target, and there was no damage whatsoever. Beer is really delicious, and I thought, well, why don't I just whack it into my stand a little bit? That fucked up a Hanwei Oni katana. Maybe it'll mess this up. Nope, not at all. Some folks have also asked, why don't you move the blade around a little bit and show us kind of how it feels? This will provide perspective. I think I look like a drunken moron, but okay, sure, maybe if this is interesting to you. You can see that the point of balance is about, some amount of space from the guard. Also, the center of percussion, I'm whacking the blade so I can see where the center of percussion is. It's a rudimentary way of doing it, but it seems to be effective, and that's what I'm trying to show you. The blade, despite its size, is actually very nimble. If I swing it lightly or with a good amount of force, it's very easy to manipulate. It's very easy to keep the point forward. I'm not a historic European martial artist, so this probably looks very stupid, but frankly, hopefully it helps you provide some context on how nimble and light the blade is despite its size. It's very easy to manipulate, very lively in the hand, and I found it very comfortable, which is kind of surprising because I found some shorter blades actually a lot harder to manipulate, but this hand-and-a-half sword is actually very easy. I have a lot to learn when it comes to this kind of stuff, but if you're looking for something nimble, fuck yeah. Also, I really like beer, so beer and swords mix well, and you can see here, I like beer. After the testing, I polished the blade up just a little bit with some Mother's Mag, and frankly, the blade looks a lot better than it did when I got it. There's still some rust and some stuff that happens from secondhand pieces, but overall, it looks great. There's no bending, there's no edge roll, there's no issues. The blade wasn't super sharp to come with, from the get-go, but I mean, it looks great. There's no deformity at all. There's no bends. There's no issues. And really, I think this lives up to the hype that Albion has had from some other reviews, like Skullgrim and other folks on the SPG that have praised it for years. This lives up to the hype. The previous Albion blade that I had, the Cersei, didn't necessarily meet my expectations, but this one exceeds them. I can really see what people are talking about, and frankly, in my hand, it feels like an honest-to-goodness weapon. And I really feel like, this is something you could fuck some shit up with. It's really cool, and I hope that you get a chance to try it. If you like the video, click like, subscribe. I hope this has been entertaining for you. Thank you for watching. Fuck yeah.